Get Your Hero Up a Tree, How to Write a Movie That Doesn't Stink. Written by Mark Achtenberg, read by Eric Cator. Sound edit and mix by Chandra Bulakan. Published by Run Amok Books, 2018. Introduction. As a teenager, I became obsessed with photography. I discovered my father's old manual Pentax camera and learned photography the old-fashioned way. I was also obsessed with movies, watching everything I could get my hands on from the local but limited Blockbuster Video. One day, I had exhausted the catalog of new movies, and I was lamenting the lack of good movies to watch. My mom said I should rent The Godfather. My initial response was typical of a young person. Why would I want to watch an old movie? My mom persisted. Apparently, my grandfather walked out of the movie during the horsehead scene, and I eventually caved in and rented the movie. It put the zap on my brain. From there, I went down the rabbit hole of classic films. A few years later, I started my degree in literature and, at some point, saw Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It, and the zap was on again. Reading about the film, I was inspired by Lee's conviction that anyone should be able to make a movie, not just the Hollywood studios. He was way ahead of his time. Unlike the cliché when people say, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker when I saw Star Wars, it didn't occur to me until She's Gotta Have It. Where this all leads to is my passions colliding, my love of photography and my love of literature. They marry together powerfully into that other medium which I love so much, the movies. Film is alchemy. A movie is a collision of many arts. This includes photography, sound, music, architecture, fashion, arts and crafts, and makeup. Add the element of performance, and you have the ingredients for making a movie. Edit together this symphony of the arts, and you can create a film. Yet all of this starts on the blank screen or a blank piece of paper. This book intends to expand the writer's view of the medium itself. It is meant to make the reader think beyond the page and consider how a film works. Anyone who has made a movie knows that it doesn't end with the script. It is a fluid process, one that allows the filmmaker to react and change the final product to what he or she wanted, versus allowing it to be what it eventually arrives at. Things you think will work die, and things you think weren't working great end up soaring. Alchemy. In the end, this book is meant to provoke thought about what it means to be a writer of moving pictures. Film is an entirely different beast than other artistic mediums, and thus one that needs specific and special consideration. So let us consider them, movies, and the writers who write them. Read on. About the author. Mark Achtenberg has spent his life confusing producers and potential employers. His resume includes working at a psychiatric institution, public and college libraries, the Canadian Air Force, as well as a student journalist and editor. He also grifted for the Coles bookstore in Toronto and has taught writing, editing, and visual effects at Humber College and has lectured and given student feedback at the prestigious Sheridan College Animation School. When he eventually shook off his past careers, Mark settled into working in the film and television industry. He has worked as a writer, director, editor, and visual effects artist in animation and live action. Mark has continued his career in the exploration of film and is an avid student of all things that involve moving pictures. And in the interest of dropping names, Mark has worked on shows for Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, Disney, BBC, CBC, Jim Henson Company, TVO, PBS, MTV, and many others. Needless to say, Mark loves stories. Like that time he got his boss out of jail. True story. Or another boss who should have gone to jail. True story for another day. Mark currently lives in Whitby, Ontario, in the Greater Toronto Area. Works cited and consulted. Apocalypse Now, director Francis Coppola, by John Milius. Omnisiotrope, 1979, transcript. Behance Incorporated, Francis Ford Coppola, on Risk, Money, Craft, and Collaboration. 99U by Behance. Will Allen, publisher. March 7th, 2016. Web. Bricknell, Timothy, and Sidney Pollack. Minghella a Minghella. NP, Faber and Faber, 2005.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?